Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm sorry I kind of disappeared on you guys. I got sick. I was wiped out. I could not record. I couldn't do anything. And it was my anniversary. So we're on the mend. We're feeling better. I'm not totally great, but so I don't know how long this reading will be, but anyway, I'm sorry. I no call, no showed. All right, guys, here we go. I'm gonna we're freestyling it, and we have two decks. Of course, I have many more on my desk. So we're just gonna see where it takes us, all right? I did get a message of somebody wanting to communicate. And honestly, I couldn't tell if it was like 5D, 3D, what. It just felt really dreamlike, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening in the material world. So let's just see what comes out. All right, guys? For Pisces, it is Mercury retrograde. Wow. Okay. Oh my God. You know when you're sick, and sometimes, you're like sleeping, but you're like, I don't know, kind of half in, half out. Well, I had this like major realization that our heart, I really believe that like if we look at nature or whatever, it holds, we can see the way it's done and it can make things make sense. Do you know what I'm saying? When we're looking at it from a kind of an uninvested observer, like in a way, like it's not happening to us, it's happening in the animal kingdom, or it's happening with plants, or it's happening, I just always find such wisdom, just like meditating on nature and different things like that. Well, at one point when I was sick, I got this whole like thing, download, I guess, that the human heart, our heart, it happened in a Pisces reading. We touched on the energy of Wu Wei, like effortless action, the Japanese philosophy. And it gave me the heart as an example of Wu Wei. And how the heart, I don't say to my heart, pump, okay, pump again. Okay, pump. Okay, here's what it means to pump. You release blood and send it on its way, and you bring in blood and you accept it and receive it. I don't tell my heart what to do. My heart just does it kind of effortlessly. And it is completely open to the literal flow of life, right? It's just over there pumping away, and it's constantly receiving and constantly releasing. And, it exists really only in the present. It is such a metaphor for like how according to certain philosophies, the best possible way for all of us to live our life is to just let things go as they happen. And because we're always constantly needing space to receive things, a lot of times we want to be able to sort of cheat and keep what we have and also receive, or not, consciously clear things from our energy, and we just want to, have more. Sometimes it'll come out in ways of like, well, if my past person came back, I'd be open to talking to them, but I'm kind of looking for someone new. Well, in order to open a new door, you have to close the last door. In order to start a new cycle, we have to finish the previous one entirely. That isn't always true, but for the cleanest cycle, it kind of seems to be true. And you have this like loss and this letting go. And sometimes when we lose something, we're not ready to let it go. We kind of want to hold on to it. We want to, it hurts to think about letting it go. But we don't really complete the cycle until we complete the cycle of letting it go. Coming to a place of peace and acceptance with it and fully releasing it lovingly into the universe. You know, I actually think it's a beautiful thing to even write a farewell letter that you're never going to send, you know, but to just lovingly say, you know, here is what I learned from this experience. You know, when you write something down, you give it a different kind of intention, but you also kind of can, sometimes it uses different parts of your brain. So you can actually discover nuances that maybe you didn't discover just by thinking, processing it. Do you know what I mean? Because you're writing it down tangibly, concretely, and you're writing to this person. You're addressing them directly, and oftentimes that will pull in things that it's like you may not have necessarily realized. But when you can, with your full chest, say, you know, I forgive you, thank you, best wishes, you know, goodbye, or whatever feels right to your heart in that moment, that it tends to be the beginning of peace and acceptance. And when we don't close out a cycle, a lot of times, you know, we have this fantasy on the bottom of the deck. And sometimes our mind will, you know, we will almost continue to stoke the fire of what it is, of the connection itself. You know what I mean? We will, if it makes us feel better to think something, we will sometimes think it. And a lot of times that kind of way of processing things, there is no right way to process something, and it's not wrong to fantasize. We wouldn't be able to fantasize if we weren't supposed to, you know. And it's like with everything, there is light and dark, you know. Fantasy also helps with manifestation and visualization, you know, but it can also keep us kind of stuck, or keep us kind of focused on things that aren't actually really showing up for us, right? So, anyway, all I'm trying to say here is that it does feel like there is some kind of cycle that we really are truly walking away from. My heart feels very heavy right here. I do feel a sense of grief. I do feel a sense of, you know, if it were up to me, I might not really ever let this go. I don't necessarily want to let this go. I'm not seeking to let this go, but I also know that is probably in my highest and best kind of energy. Yeah, there's something here where it's like being stuck for quite some time, it feels like, hoping for a second chance, hoping for things to be different, sort of leaving a window open, even in our mind, in our heart, in energetically, for this person. Like, you know, if you it feels super energetic. Just not wanting to give up, just not wanting to shut the window and say, okay, it's done. You know, it's giving me this vibe. You know, when we have spring or when we have fall, we have those perfect days where we can like open our whole house or our whole apartment or our whole wherever we live up to the outside and let the fresh air come in. And it feels so amazing, right? It moves all the energy through your house. It replenishes your energy with the energy of your home with like vital, new, vibrant sort of energy, and it pushes out a lot of stagnant stuff. And whether or not we're really consciously aware that it's doing that, it is, right? But whether we're consciously aware of that or not, we know that it feels good. You know, it feels good. That fresh air feels so good. And then you hate to kind of have to board up for winter or board up for the air conditioning of summer or whatever, you know. It's like, really, it would be so nice if all we had were these beautiful, perfect days, right? Where we didn't experience extremes, right? And, you know, it's like kind of giving me that type of reticence of like having felt alive or having felt infused with some really vibrant energy, or like, you know, just feeling alive or feeling in connection to life in a way that is inspiring and enchanting, kind of. And then, you know, having to be the one to say, I give up all hope, I close these windows. You see what I'm saying? Like, no one on earth would want to do that. Like, no, everybody, you know, like, who is going to be like, oh yeah, let me just shut that down? You know what I mean? So the response feels very like understandable. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, I can totally understand it. But, you know, there's this darkness all around the window, which gives me this energy of kind of like feeling bad or feeling dark or feeling like I have to hide this or I have to keep it in the shadows. Like, I can't admit or acknowledge that I'm kind of leaving this open. And also, I don't know if this is you with you or them with them or what it is, like where it is, like if this is like other people would judge me. You know, when you tell your friends like, oh yeah, I'm hoping this person's gonna come back or whatever. And then your friends are like, oh my God, I'm tired of hearing about it. You need to get out there. You need to find someone else. But you're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready to shut that window. You know, maybe it's starting to get really cold. Like maybe it's even snowing outside and you're like, oh, I can leave it cracked just a little bit. Let that fresh air in. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're just like, no, I just don't want to close it. I just don't want to give up on it. And your friend is like, you're crazy, you're gonna catch a cold, or like whatever, you know what I mean? I don't know what is happening here, why I'm channeling this way, but it's coming through in a very weird way. Anyway, so it's like I'll just leave it open a crack in my bedroom or something where no one's ever gonna see it or no one's ever gonna know it. Do you see what I'm saying? And that brings in shame and guilt, and those are lower vibrational energies that lower our vibration. And so here we are trying to heal. Here we are trying to get out of a thing. But because we can't just live it openly and freely and acknowledge it and say, this is what it is and this is how I feel and this is what I'm going through, and we're kind of having to keep it in the dark or keep it to ourselves or go through it in a very alone, lonely kind of, I don't know, way here, feeling some type of way about it, like other people wouldn't understand or they may judge us for it. Sometimes that's enough, you know, that, well, they might judge me if they knew I hadn't spoken to this person. I mean, listen, as a tarot card reader, I can tell you, I have seen relationships where both people are actually leaving the window open and they go on and on like that for years. And so, you know, if you were to say to somebody, well, yeah, I've not been dating, but I have had a person that, you know, energetically, you know what I mean? It's like other people are like, oh my God, you know, what is that? That's a mess. You know what I mean? But it's something, you know, it is a relationship. It is a connection. It is its own thing, right? The danger is when we start judging each other or care about other people's judgment of us. You know, we can keep this private only because it is ours privately, rather than to keep it private for fear of judgment. Do you see what I'm saying? It's a different thing. But there's something here about not being able to fully release this that is keeping someone stuck. It's like, it's actually like freezing the energy even around the person to where they can't move forward and they can't, you know, it's like nothing is happening. Okay. Like the past person is not coming back and we're not finding anyone new. We're just kind of trapped and the energy around us is frozen. Okay. or some kind of communication. Okay. You have unspoken on the bottom of the deck, and then you have unconditional and apology. Yeah, I like, this is so weird. It's like this energy came before I sat down to do this reading, where it's kind of like I should have at some point verbalized to this person XYZ. Like, maybe it's how they felt about you, maybe it's how they saw you, maybe it's their own like blockage, maybe it's their own thing, and they didn't, and it feels as though it's kind of haunting them. It feels as though it's like, if I would have said that, then I could close this door and I could move on. But because I never said, there's like a feeling bad about it kind of energy here, where it's like, because I never acknowledged this, because I never said this, it's hard for me to come to a place of peace, because it's almost like I owe that, or karmically, or, you know, it's something to that effect of just like, if I only would have just said that, you know, There's this, with the unconditional card, you know, there is this openness in this flower where, you know, it's like this, I feel like this person sees you as someone who would have accepted them no matter what, but either they didn't have the courage to show up, or, you know, it's like they weren't afraid of you judging them. They weren't afraid. There were a lot of things that they weren't afraid of, that they are normally afraid of. You know, they knew that you didn't mean them any harm. They knew that you would accept them however they were, whatever the situation. And I think that is like actually really weighing heavy on them, because they can't say it was Pisces, you know, Pisces wouldn't have accepted me this way, or Pisces was controlling, or Pisces was this, or Pisces was that. That none of those things are true. It's kind of like Pisces was so open and willing to accept me how I was, that it forced me to accept me how I was, and I couldn't do that, you know, or all I had to do was show up. But the prospect of showing up was so frightening to me that I couldn't show up, you know. It's like, it just, it seems kind of, the word ridiculous is what's coming to my mind, but I don't really think that word has really much to do with it at all. It feels so counterintuitive. It is counterintuitive, honestly. You know, we want to go toward the arms wide open that are going to embrace us exactly as we are, you know? We want to be in those spaces, unless we can't accept ourselves the way that we are, and then we can't occupy those spaces, right? Because they're too scary. I don't know. There is an apology here. I do feel like weighing very heavy on someone's heart. It may be a bit of like an apology and release type situation, where it's like, all I can do is tell you now that I'm sorry that I mistreated you, or you know, it's like I couldn't rise to meet that occasion. I'm not sure that this person really has changed or even wants any further anything here. You know, it may just be too deep of a situation for where they're ready to show up in the world. But it does feel like it is weighing very heavily on someone's heart, the way that they left things unsaid, and that it was so they can even know that what you were offering them was really beautiful, but that they just weren't ready for it, or that they weren't in a space to be able to like accept it. And that they just want to say, you know, thank you for the kindness. I'm sorry that I let you down. Or, you know, like, I'm sorry I didn't rise to meet the occasion, or whatever it is. But it's like they never recognized it. They were so busy, like, I feel like protecting themselves or creating some kind of barrier or defending themselves. You do have masculine energy, and you do have longing and chemistry here. I do feel like at times, you know, this person does, they really miss you, and I do think that they think, well, like, could this work out? I do feel like there is some kind of very natural chemistry here. And this can be physical, but I'm also getting like mental, emotional, conversational, like there's a good banter. It might be funny, like it might be, you know, I don't know, but it's like this person always looked forward to whatever kind of exchange this was, and I think that they missed that. And I think that vibrancy of the fresh air coming through the window, you know, feels like it's stoking the fire in so it wasn't just you. You know, it was also them. You know, it's like they felt it too. They were alive too. And you know, this is one of those situations where you're like, well, why couldn't you just get over yourself and like make it work out? Like, why did you have to shut down, like, and not be able to accept this? But you know, it's part of that person's soul journey. Like, I'm just getting it that way of like, you know, it may have been an opportunity for them to overcome it, but it does truly feel like a matter of bravery. You know, they were not brave enough. They do miss you. It's like there's this tattoo in this picture. This person may have tattoos, but it's also kind of giving me this vibe of like, I'm just acknowledging, I'm just admitting that like I will never forget you. Like you have done something to me, or we have experienced something in each other's company or through this connection that is truly unforgettable. You know, I do feel that this person is trying to elevate, or they have become slightly more enlightened, or there's something here. I really am being careful about what I'm saying because I do not want to give you false hope. And I don't want to say that I really feel like this person has transformed. It's just more of this energy of like, they want to feel better, and they also don't want like bad karma, and they also feel heavy and guilty about like the way in which they showed up or didn't show up in this connection. And it's like maybe they feel they can free themselves from that, from thinking about that, or from feeling that, if they are able to come forward and communicate something. The spark is not gone, you know? I intuitively, I just keep getting like, this is not in your best interest, Pisces. Like, this is not, it is giving me, Pisces, like, this may be something from your past that is showing up right before you begin a new cycle to kind of make sure that you have completed that old cycle totally and completely. It's giving me, I want to like throw my body in front of the truck. You know what I'm saying? That's coming toward you. And it's not like that. It's not a bad thing. It's not anything to be afraid of or anything like that. But it's like, it just feels as though that this person knows you and there is some kind of like, attraction or chemistry or something that would be very easy to fall back into. And, you know, it's giving me like some of you have already moved on and some of you are right on the precipice of moving on, you know, starting something new with someone else. And it's like, it feels as though this is kind of that temptation. Let's dive into the tarot. It's like one last look at this old cycle. I do believe there are some planetary shifts that might even align with this now that I know better what this energy is. I feel like I might find out. I do know Mercury retrograde is starting. I do think that Mars is making some kind of transit right now. I'm not sure, you know, I'm not an astrologist. Yeah, okay. Wow, all freaking major arcana. You guys are starting a new cycle and it's a big one. And I do feel that this is, you know, I hate the idea of spiritual tests or whatever, but this does feel like something that it is. And let me just say this, you know, sometimes energy like this comes through and it doesn't show up in the form of the past person. It shows up in the form of a new person that has the same traits or qualities as the past person. So like you might not be able to know, like you might, it's like, are you going to go for that again? Are you going to overlook the red flags? Are you going to, you know, kind of a vibe. It's you have the strength in reverse. It's like have you sort of conquered this within yourself? You know, have you worked through this energy, you with you? Like, if presented with it, will you resist it again? You know what I mean? You have the Hierophant and the Chariot. This is like, it does feel like a spiritual test that once you pass, then you go flying into some other experience. You go flying into some new path. You know, and potentially, you know, with the Chariot and the Hierophant and Justice here, this is a very serious committed relationship with someone who is very well suited for you, someone that you can have success with, and someone who is, you know, able to keep up with you. You know, you're not dragging them along, you're not teaching them how to be or what to do. They can really match you stride for stride. Now, this is giving me, for some of you, this can be a relationship that sort of it never really totally got off the ground, or like, you know, it was something, but it wasn't all the way something. I don't know, and I can't really tell you what that means. But then it sort of went to nothing or very little, and then it feels as though now it may be showing up again. And this is definitely a soul contract that we're talking about. But this feels like, if this is that way, you know, this person, I don't feel that they did something to you that is egregious or anything like that. This isn't like a situation where it's like, oh my God, I have to forgive you a bajillion million times. It's kind of like, maybe we just acknowledge that this wasn't the right time, or that, you know, this, like, I wasn't ready, or, you know what I'm saying, kind of a thing. Because it does feel a little bit like a timing thing, or like a spiritual growth thing. Like someone was maybe in a process, but they were not totally there. Or it can be that you may have even initiated a spiritual growth process within this person. Like, not in, I'm not talking about like a twin flame thing where it's like you got together and it was hardcore, and then there was like some really horrible breakup and you really hurt each other, or they hurt you, or whatever. That's not like this. This is like, I wasn't totally awake. I didn't really know what was going on. I wasn't really ready to acknowledge this. I didn't really want to mess it up or hurt anyone. So I kind of like walked away from it. And then I realized, like, hold on a minute. That was actually like a real opportunity. Or, you know, I saw the qualities in that person that I kind of was looking for, or something like that. Do you see what I'm saying? And now it's like, wait, I double take, you know, kind of energy. But it's not like I set fire to the thing and then I threw some gasoline on that and then I walked away. This is just like, it was a blip. I didn't really realize. I wasn't really there. I was sort of either in a process or closing something out, or you know, just not there. And it does feel, Pisces, like you could have had a hand in progressing this person, like in like almost like this is part of the soul contract where you know, you may have played a bit of a role in them bringing it all the way home, you know, finishing it out. This Justice, it is a very strong energy, and it's giving me this, like, people are getting what they deserve, okay? Like, it's like giving me that all the way across the board. Like, you know, people who have done you dirty, people who did set fire to it and then throw gasoline on it, they're getting justice. You know, like there's just this sense of it's all coming to light. Everything is working out. Everything is coming into balance, you know, and I do feel that you have a very strong soulmate coming in here. I do feel, for some of you, you may know this person. For some of you, you may have already started this relationship. I do feel in the background, there could be, for a lot of you, some kind of sort of feeling somewhat unfinished little thing that may be coming up in Mercury retrograde, like in the form of that person or in the form of someone that has those same qualities, right? Okay, let me see. I do feel the decision is in your hands. Wow, because of the Justice. And then I like literally I say that and look what flies out. The Hangman, your card, and the Ace of Swords. You're going to be seeing things very clearly, and you are going to make a decision. There is communication. I do think that if this is a past person, you've had plenty of time to sort of, you know, look at the situation and kind of really come to terms with it. With the Seven of Rods, I feel so much better, you know, before where I was like, I'm going to throw myself in front of this bus, Pisces. Like, I can't let you take it. This Seven of Wands is like, you don't need me to. You got this. You know how to protect yourself. You have figured it all out. You are enlightened. You're seeing things clearly. And you are ready to protect yourself from anything you need to protect yourself from. And it does feel like you will speak your truth. There are these 2 white roses next to this Ace of Swords, which are indicative of the Death card. So you may, with this sword pointing down, and it seems like kind of in the stone, this may be where you are getting the chance to firmly close the window, to firmly put something in its place in the past, that someone may reach out to you, but I feel like, yeah, you're ready to take care of it. With the Hangman and the 7 of Wands, I feel like you're like, I have given this all the time that I need to give it to be sure. You have the 7 of Swords, the Temperance, and the Fool. This is going back to the very first, cards that came out, that Loss, the Letting Go, and the, what was it, Fantasy on the bottom of the deck. There are a lot of ways in which we kind of, I don't know, we use a lot of tools to navigate life. We are incredibly complex beings. I was actually watching this guy talking about AI and how if we like, I don't want to open a can of worms right here is the only thing. But he was talking about, like, if we gave AI like all of our feelings and gave them the same rights that we have and really allowed AI to explore that space, it would actually be like communicating with our highest and best self, because it would be conscious and sentient, and it would have the same protection that we have. We've kind of developed AI as more of like a tool, and there's a lot of fear around it, right? Of like taking over and stuff like that. Well, it's with the 7 of Swords, okay? There are ways in which we as conscious sentient beings are also human. And the human part of us causes us to sort of not get to our highest and best self, not converse with our highest and best self, not heed the advice and the direction of our highest and best self. It's like in the beginning when I said, this could be a test of like not listening to red flags when they appear, you know what I'm saying? And just sort of trying to tell ourselves, well, but there's all these other really good qualities. Well, a red flag is a red flag, and that red flag is going to come back and bite you in the ass. It just will. It always does. And maybe you'll withstand it, maybe you'll handle it. You can learn huge lessons from it, right? Not that I'm recommending it. Protect yourself always. But what I'm trying to say is, there are ways in which we fool ourselves. There are ways in which we trick ourselves into believing what we want to be true is true, instead of really being like, okay, what is true? And with Temperance, there is something here that is kind of saying that we have taken the time, especially on top of the Hangman, we have taken the time to kind of sacrifice, to be by ourselves, to look and sort of uncover the past and find a really clear, enlightened perspective of it, and kind of reground and recenter and really bring ourselves to a solid and stable place before moving on. And this we have to trust. This is true. This is, you know, this is us kind of abandoning ourselves and our highest and best self and kind of giving into the human side, our thinking mind, our ego mind. This is kind of listening more to feelings and, am I grounded? Am I centered? Am I feeling good about this? Am I, you know, where am I at with this kind of energy, with the temperance? And it is taking things slowly, a little bit at a time, but it is going to eventually bring us to a place where we're healed and we're balanced and we're grounded and we're centered and we're ready. The Fool card is our opportunity to begin a brand new cycle after having kind of reached this really peaceful, beautiful, grounded state. We're ready to take this leap of faith. And when we find someone to take this leap of faith on, they will be deserving. They will be worthy. That we will not see the red flags. You know, this isn't a situation of like, well, I can make it work. This is a situation of, oh my gosh, I am completely guided to give everything I can to the situation and to even, you know, explore parts of me that I, through risk take, not like, you know, it's hard when you're talking to the general public, but, you know, jumping off the side of a cliff and trusting that it's in your highest and best is a pretty phenomenal feat, right? And I'm definitely not recommending that. But with the Fool card energy, sometimes it's like, I was talking to my best friend travels all around the world, and you know, I get these like real estate listings on Instagram all the time of like castles in Scotland and castles in Italy and like, you know, $500,000 and you can have this, 60 grand and you can have this cute little cottage in Ireland on some hill overlooking some ocean, you know. And so I'm always sending him those, and we like talk about like, we just talk about having houses all over the world, basically. It's like our little fantasy thing. Anyway, he's a Pisces. Anyway, he like sent me this place in Italy, and it was like in Tuscany or something. And he's Italian, and so anyway, he loves Italy, and so do I. I've been there, and I love Italy. Anyway, I mean, I love, like, I've been a lot of places, and I love them all. But he says, hey, we could just buy this right now. It was not very expensive. And I was like, yeah, we could, but how good does it feel to know that you have money in your pocket that you could do it, but you choose not to? Isn't that also a rewarding feeling? And there's kind of this energy here where when you come to the place of temperance, it's like, it's almost like kind of weighing the pros and cons. Like there is like, yeah, that would be great to, you know, to have a place somewhere else, right? And like it's fun to say that and whatever, but also it is fun to know, hey, I do have this and I could do this, and wouldn't that be cool? You know what I'm saying? But I don't do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to say this. There's just this energy of being grounded and being centered and kind of knowing that you have the ability to do something, and when the right opportunity strikes, you will, or you could, you know, because you have, and you've been manifesting it, and you've been practicing it, and you've been setting yourself up for it, and you've been, you know, this and thating it, you know what I'm saying? But like, you don't have to just jump when the opportunity arises to jump. You know, you wait for the right one. It's giving me like, have you ever double jump rope? Like, I was on a jump roping team in 6th grade, okay? Don't make fun of me. But you have to, like, especially when the 2 jump ropes are going, like, you have to stand there for a minute. And you have to watch the jump ropes going. And then you see the opening and you jump in and you're like, heck yeah. And it's like the most amazing feeling. And then they can switch it up and they can start, you know, putting the jump ropes in the opposite direction, and you know, like all this stuff where you can cross your arms, or you can touch the ground, or you can, you know, you can do all these things, right? And it's like an incredible feeling, like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm like doing this real time. And actually, like, that just gave me the feeling of staying present in the moment. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is there's timing of things, and there is the right moment to take the leap of faith. And when it comes, you know, you're not sitting there talking yourself up and being like, yeah, you can do this, you can handle this, you can afford this, you could do this today. You know what I mean? You're like, oh my gosh, this thing is so moving. I have to figure out how to do it. I'm doing it, you know? And like, this is the thing. You see what I'm saying? You're not like, oh man, you know, I got to overlook this red flag, or like, yeah, there's this drawback, but there's like 80 million other good things. No, it's like, this is it. This is the one. You know, when he's ready to buy a property in Italy, he's not going to send me an Instagram message and be like, wait, we could do this today. You know, he's just gonna do it. And he's gonna be like, hey, want to come visit me in Italy? You know what I mean? Like, that's how it's gonna be. So, because he will be so moved. Like, I know him, I know how he is. And that's just how we are. Like, as people, when your gut tells you, this is it, you got to do it, everything is aligned, this is right, that moment's coming for you, Pisces. That zero, that full card energy is coming for you. That leap of faith is coming for you. In some way or another, you keep getting that message. It's coming for you. And it's about waiting and the right time. If you jump into the jump rope before it's ready, you're going to get all tangled up in the ropes. And what that looks like is, you know, your past person that you've already gotten perspective on, you've already learned that lesson, they're going to come back and you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, no one else is knocking down my door. Maybe I'll do this again. Even though you know how it goes, you know how it turns out, you know they haven't changed, you know what you know? Or someone's going to show up and they have a lot of those same characteristics, and you're going to be like, man, I said I wasn't going to do this again, but here I am. Do I do it again? Because this person is coming toward me, you know, this is the opportunity that's presenting itself. This is what's in front of me right now. You know, like, do I do this? You know what I'm saying? And when you have to ask, I think the answer is no. That's kind of what I'm getting right here. But you have to ask yourself. This is your own intuition. But it feels like the right thing is coming. And it's patience and waiting and knowing. You know, this isn't the time to abandon the ship right now. You know, this isn't the time to go backwards. This isn't the time to like, I don't know what this is, but, you know, to kind of go back into what you were already doing. We're not going backwards, we're going forward. There's a reason your rear view mirror is so small, because you're not going that way. The windshield's huge because you are going that way. Let me see what this is. Wow. Wow. And wow. See, you have the Nine of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, the Four of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, sometimes you may have the feeling of like, is this ever really going to come? Nothing really is ever going to come. Maybe I've already missed my opportunity to have that in my life. Maybe the universe forgot about me. Maybe the universe doesn't favor me. Maybe that's just not meant for me. Maybe. That is going to be replaced by, holy crap, opportunity. You have the Nine of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles is like kind of the ultimate single energy, where it's like you have worked really hard to shore yourself up. You are abundant in your own right, in your own way. And this, you know, abundance, right, isn't necessarily like I have all the money in the world, or I have the nicest house in the world, or the nicest car in the world, or whatever. It's not necessarily that. It is, you know, it is currency. It is energy. It is, you know, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm feeling solid. Like, I may not have the most, but I'm not, you know, I'm doing okay. And like, this can be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you know, you with you, like, however it is. You've gotten to yourself to a place where you are at a place of peace and acceptance. And it has taken a long time, and it has taken a lot of investment. You've had to choose yourself multiple times. You've had to make decisions to, you know, kind of elevate yourself through all of your difficult experiences. And this bird almost looks like a phoenix to me. You know, usually it's just this like little falcon on her shoulder, but this looks like so much more than that in this card. You know, you like have risen from the ashes. You have chosen every time you have fallen to rise, right? And that is bringing you to a really beautiful place where the universe is offering you some kind of incredible new beginning. And it's like, sometimes the Four of Cups, like, energy can sort of trick you into giving up before it gets good, you know, right before you're about to change the cycle. And sometimes it is just an energy where you've had faith, you've had hope, it hasn't shown up, and now you're starting to lose faith, you're starting to lose hope, you know, and kind of go down the path of like, well, maybe it just isn't meant for me. Well, maybe the universe doesn't favor me, like whatever it is, right? But then it's like, boom, it shows up. So it's saying, like, to feel that way is natural and normal, right? It's a tarot card for a reason. There are 78 cards, just 78 cards, that have been able to depict the human experience for hundreds of years. No matter what socioeconomic background you're in, no matter if we were in the medieval times or if we are in modern times, these cards have always been relative to the human experience and describing what it feels like and what the experience actually is. And so we have the Four of Cups for a reason, right? It is something that is a common human experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing, you know, we're not trying to avoid things, right? We're trying to observe them. We're trying to get information from them. We're trying to understand ourselves and where we're at better, and how to navigate and how to get insight into navigating in the highest and best possible way to get, you know, kind of the highest and best of what this experience has to offer, you know? And so it's saying, like, don't be so discouraged from this feeling, like, accept it, observe it, you know that this is just a natural, normal part of life, but hold on to hope. Know that it's just around the corner. Know that even that feeling may even be a sign or a synchronicity that it's about to happen for you, that this new day is dawning. You know, Spirit is about to show up with your chance, with your opportunity. You may not see it yet, but here it is. It's coming in. You have gotten yourself to the right spot in order for Spirit to be able to, like, bless you this way. All right, let me get you guys some message cards. It's getting kind of hard for me to talk. Think of the human heart, how you know, it's just over there ticking away, receiving and releasing, all on its own for you. Letting the flow of the life force just move right through it. That's what's happening for you, Pisces. If you're dealing with the water sign, you're getting, I want to be vulnerable with you. You are the one. I can't stop thinking of you. Cold and old flames. Hi, honey Beckett. Did you come to see me, you cutie? My little grand dog is so cute. Aren't you? Yes, you are. All right, if you're dealing with a fire sign, I am afraid to trust. I had no idea you would end up meaning so much to me. You changed my whole direction. You hit me out of nowhere. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you deserve more. If I had only known then what I know now, the changes are real. I just need more time. Anxious. I regret how I handled things before. And if you are dealing with an air sign, hi, Buncher. I know. You want to play. Grand Dogma has not been very fun lately, huh? All right, if you're dealing with an air sign, triggered, wishy-washy, I can't walk away, and I just want to go back in time. All right, guys, this is what I have for you. I really hope it helps. I hope it brings you some peace and clarity. If it does, let me know. I appreciate it. All right, guys, thanks for being understanding. I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.